Okay, Gabe Montgomery here from 10 Horse Monty YouTube channel, and I want to talk to you today about fish care in the warm water periods. Let me start by saying prayers and thoughts to all the people in Cape County, Scott County, Perry County. We had some really bad storms come through here Friday. I think it was June 21st, and there's a lot of tree damage, a lot of property damage. I've been out here cleaning up thousands and thousands of limbs out of my yard, and we were real fortunate. Nothing major happened to our house, but a lot of people weren't so fortunate. So thoughts and prayers for those. I've got a video on my channel that I just dropped from some of the storm footage in the Jackson area, so check that out. It's pretty amazing stuff. A lot of 100-year-old trees were down, and it's just a mess. So back to the video. Warm water period fish care. A lot of guys watch this, including myself, fish tournaments, and there's nothing worse than fishing a tournament and having a dead fish. Most circuits, that's going to cost you a half a pound penalty, and the weights can get pretty tight. So 8 ounces is a lot. So when the water gets up in the 70s, that's when I'm thinking about fish care in the live well. That's usually May to November in my area, in southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. So the first thing I do is, from fishing a tournament, is I'm going to go by and get a bag of ice. And you want to put a bag of ice in your live well right off the bat, an hour before the tournament or so, and just let it kind of soak and cool down that live well. I've got a really small live well in my John boat. In a bigger fiberglass boat, you could probably put 2 bags of ice in there. You can also take water bottles or Gatorade bottles and fill them up with water and put them in the freezer. That works as a good substitute. An interesting thing that we've noticed, though, is when you put the fish in the live well, they seem to like that solid mass floating around in there. They use it for cover, and they'll actually sit, they'll tuck up underneath that, and I think it gives them a little sense of security. The next thing I want to talk about is G-juice. This stuff is phenomenal. I mean, in fact, we call it liquid Jesus. It has saved us multiple times. Interesting story about a domestic pet that benefited from the G-juice. I was down fishing a tournament at Lake of the Ozarks, and my wife sent me a text and said that we had lost one of our goldfish, and the other one was just circling the grave, so to speak. So when I got home late that night, about 10 o'clock, I immediately changed the water, and the goldfish that was alive was floating on its side, breathing real heavy, and it was in really bad shape. So I changed the water, I added some G-juice. The next morning, it was still in pretty rough shape. Changed the water again, added some more G-juice, and by that afternoon, that goldfish was right-sided up, and it's still alive. It saved it. So liquid Jesus. The directions are on the container, tells you what to do, but I'm adding that right after I catch my first fish and I put it in the live well. It's just it serves several purposes. First purpose is, yeah, I'm doing a video here, I'm almost done. Hey, I'm right in the middle of a video. Can you come back in about 5 minutes? Let's start this over. My kid and the neighbor kid came over all at once. Talking about G-juice, the benefits of G-juice are it removes the ammonia and chlorine and heavy metals out of the water. It relieves stress. It really calms the fish down. They've been caught, they've been thrown in the live well, they're on a boat ride, and it really relaxes them. Another thing it does is it helps replace the slime coat. So very, very beneficial to tournament fishermen. If you're fishing out of a big boat, one thing you can do is right when you dump your boat in the water, after you've got your bag of ice in there, a couple bags of ice in there, put your G-juice in there and fill your live well with water, because that water is going to be the coolest water in the lake. It's had all night to cool down, so it's at its lowest point. So go ahead and fill that up, recirculate it. I don't do that in my boat. because I have such a small boat, and weight is a real big deal. So I usually wait until I catch my first fish, and then I put the water in the live well. Another thing that helps in this small boat is the aerator. I've got a little bubbler, and I'll show it to you. It's just a really small aerator. It's Mr. Power Bubbles, I guess they call it. But it runs off a 12-volt battery, and all I've done is ran it through the back part of my boat into my battery compartment, and I've got these little alligator clips here. So I keep one hooked up to the negative all times, and I just hit this positive and it fires up for me. So I'm going to be, turning that off and on throughout the day. I guess you could hook it up with a power switch, but I just use the alligator clips. It seems to work out fine. But that power bubbles deal is the deal. It's got two bubble outputs that go down in here, and it just puts air in the water. It makes a big difference. So if you've got your ice, your G-juice, and air going into your water, that's really about all you can do. One more thing I want to talk about is Kool Clips. Now, traditional Kool Clips require that you poke this wire through the bottom lip of the fish, and it sounds okay, it's no big deal, small puncture wound, but what happens is when you grab that fish out of the live well or it's thrashing around in there, you'll actually slit the lower jaw of that fish. And what that does is it causes water to come through that open area when the fish is trying to suck up, its food. So a bass just kind of opens its mouth, flares its gills, and it sucks water through its mouth and out its gill plates. And you've got a void right here. It doesn't have as good suction. I don't know that it kills the fish, but it's just not a good idea to use these. I've used them for years, and I recently went to these, I think they're called CalCoast Clips. They're non-penetrating clips. It's what BASS went to. They're real easy to use. So all you do is squeeze this. You place this in the fish's lip, and you just squeeze this, and it grabs. And to release, boom. So thumb in here, finger on both sides, and that releases. So I've gotten rid of these things. Another nice thing about these is if you've got your balance board, they've got a loop in the top, and when you've got two fish on there and you're wanting to balance them, it's pretty simple to do. Those fish will just hold like that. You got your fish on each one of these. It's real quick. Before, I was sticking them with this thing, and that's just a no-no. It's just bad. It's bad for the fish. It's a bad conservation practice. These clips come with a nice little rack that has 3M double-sided tape, and it will glue to the top of your live well lid. It also has a place for screws if you'd rather bolt it in. So it's real easy. Just put it in there and squeeze it. And it'll hold, I think it holds up to 7 Kool tags. So that's what you can do to help your fish survive in a live well in a tournament situation. Ice, G-juice, and some form of bubbles. And another thing you can do, halfway through the day, if it looks like your fish are in really rough shape, you can drain half of that water out and put some fresh water in. Gets a lot of that, there'll be a lot of scales and moss and fish poop or whatever. So you can suck a lot of that out, and that'll help the fish survive. So thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Like and share it on your Facebook page. And until next time.